All right. All right, sweet. That's recording. All right, cool. Yeah. So what I'll do is we'll have a quick chat for a sec, and then I'll
Yep.
give a shout out from the sponsors, and then I'll ask you questions and get into it. So basically, what I'm wanting is
Yeah, great.
basically your story because I've read. Actually, we might just get into it. Yeah, basically, I've read half your book, halfway through it, and obviously
Yeah,
that's
sick.
based on a fair bit of your life. And I want to hear that story from your mouth. I want to hear how you grew up and all that type of stuff, all the
Yeah, for
crazy
sure.
stuff
Yeah,
you've
happy
been
to
through.
go.
Yeah, obviously, I grew up heterosexual. You grew up
Yep.
homosexual, so I want to hear your perspective on stuff. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all right, cool. Before I ruin it too much, I'll just ask you. All right, cool. All right, yeah, that's recording already. All right, quick shout out to our sponsors. I'm the sponsor. We've got Farfo Hilarious Novel by Aaron Weston, available on Aaron Weston Author Instagram account. We have children's books by Aaron White on Facebook. We have Australian firefighters, Australian paramedics, Australian mining machines colouring in book, Australian surf lifesavers, Australian Defence Force machines, and Australian police vehicles. Sold out already. They're selling quick, especially since Christmas is coming up. And if you've got kids, they're bloody awesome. So get yourself some on Children's Books by Aaron White on Facebook and also on Instagram. Just hit the shop now button or the link and it takes you straight there. And also, what's this? Awesome book, Invisible Boys, halfway through it with with our guest today, Holden Sheppard. And yeah, without further ado, I'll let him tell you where he can get it from. But yeah, I'll do the little intro. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Aaron White Show. And I'm your host, Aaron. Today we have a fantastic guest, Holden Sheppard. Holden is an award-winning author. Welcome to the show, Holden.
Thank you so much for having me, Aaron. It's a pleasure to finally be here and chat with you.
Yeah, it's awesome. We've been Instagram friends for a while. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Like we were saying before, it actually feels like I know you. It's good to actually talk, not really face to face, but like Zoom link to Zoom link.
Yeah, yeah, but we're kind of face to face. Like I think we know each other from Insta stories and Instagram posts. But
Yep.
yeah, it's actually good to have a conversation.
Sweet. I'm just going to put you on full screen. Sweet. All right, cool. Yeah. So basically, I'll just ask you the first question. Can you please tell me your story, like how and where you grew up, any life-changing events, and how you end up doing what you're doing today?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, where to begin with the life story? But I guess the thing that kind of started this book. So my debut novel is called Invisible Boys, and this book is pretty much drawn from the emotional truth of my own life. So it's not memoir. I didn't want to write the truth, because I think once you write memoir about stuff that is deeply personal, it can be a risk that you overexpose yourself, not in a dodgy way, but you can be very vulnerable to actually share your own story to such depths, and it really leaves you kind of exposed to um, people's perceptions or people's criticisms, and I was really wary of doing that. So my story is it's fiction, but it's spun from real life. Essentially, the gist is that I grew up gay in a country town. So I grew up in Geraldton, about 400 odd k's north of Perth, and it's not a teeny tiny country town. It's a regional town, so got about 40,000 people there now. But it was not the gay capital of the world or Australia. So I grew up feeling pretty isolated and struggling a lot with my sexuality and trying to work out who I was and was I okay. It's often when I start telling this story and start talking about growing up gay in the country, people assume that so you got picked on and you got discriminated against or bullied or whatever, and definitely there's a lot of guys with that story, but that's not my story. I could see that would happen. I could anticipate that that's what would happen if you were openly homosexual. So I didn't do it. I just hid. I thought I'm just going to go under the radar as best I can and avoid all the bad stuff. And in fact, it wasn't even as simple as knowing what I was and trying to just hide it. There was a real tussle of trying to work out who am I. I was convinced I was straight for a really long time. I was convinced I was bisexual for a shorter time. But it took a while to work out even who I was, let alone being okay with it and talking about it in public. So I guess that's the the broad brushstrokes of who I am and what I do. I think the thing as well with growing up in a country town was kind of compounded by other stuff. So it wasn't just the setting of Geraldton where there's not a lot of gay people around, but I grew up in a really blue collar kind of background. Dad's in earth moving. I used to work with him as a labourer and driving like the mini excavator or the dump truck. So that was the world I knew, and it was a very blokey, masculine world, which I liked. But it was also the kind of space where if you're different in any way, let alone being gay, you get called faggot or you get called any number of names. And then, compounding on top of that, we're Italian, Australian. My family's from Sicily. So there's a lot of Sicilian, Italian, pressures. You got to find a good Italian girl and marry her and get her pregnant and barefoot in the kitchen. And we're Catholic as well, just to kind of really cap everything off. We grew up Roman Catholic. So if that gives you a bit of a snapshot, like all the messaging I had growing up was, being gay is bad. It's a sin. It's evil. It's not what you should be doing based on your culture or your family or your town. So in the face of all that, I was just like, well, I don't want to be that. And that resistance to my sexuality is what caused a lot of hurt for me. So my story is more about denying my sexuality, not wanting to be me, fighting it, trying to fix myself with religion, with the Bible, with praying, really damaging stuff. And I didn't come out until I was about 20. Anyway, I have talked a very, very long time, and I don't want to, talk endlessly. So please feel free to, interrupt me.
Yeah, I'm quite happy for you to keep talking. But yeah, it's funny because lots of people obviously haven't read the book, but there's, I don't feel I should be the one explaining the book. You can do it better. But you got basically, you got three main characters. You got Zeke, you got Hammer, and you got Charlie. And yeah, I thought they were three different characters, but now getting to know you, I'm talking to you right now, these three different characters are actually you. These are three different things that you're going through. You got Charlie, the punk rocker guy, and then you got Hammer, the footy jock, because you're into your football, AFL type of stuff, you're into your punk rock and stuff like that, as you can see on your Instagram. And now that you've just said that you grew up Italian and all that type of stuff and Catholic and that's the Zeke character, which I thought wasn't you, but now I'm talking to you, I know that. So you're all three of these characters in the book.
Yeah, that's correct. And a lot of people assume I'm one of the three, or they assume they're all made up. And I often get asked which one's your favorite or which one's closest to you. And the answer is pretty much what you just said. They're all aspects of my own personality.
Okay. Yeah. Lots of different ways we can go with this. Because you say you didn't come out until you're 20. So, and yeah, so did you have a girlfriend? Did you try? You don't have to answer anything I ask, but so you tried being straight. Have you had sex with a girl? Have you had a proper girlfriend and tried that?
Yeah. Look, I live for those kind of questions because often being gay, I mean, I don't actually really call myself gay. I call myself homosexual, but it's much of a muchness. But same diff. But being gay, people often have the kid gloves on where they interview. They're scared they're going to offend me, or they're going to say something slightly un-PC, or I don't care. Throw anything you want at me, and if I'm uncomfortable with it, I won't answer. But I live for those kind of unusual questions. So I didn't really have, like, I had girlfriends in high school, but it was very, very like high school. And early high school. So like when you're still like 8 and 9 and you're not really doing much physically. It was more like I did have the sexual encounters with girls when I was about 18, 19. And it was okay. but it was just okay. I've always had some sexual attraction to females. And I still have some limited sexual attraction to females. But there's like a scale. I don't know if you know the Kinsey scale of human sexuality, but it like basically goes from 0 to 6. and I'm going to forget which end is which, but but I think the 0 is, I think 0 is completely heterosexual, and 6 must be completely homosexual. So like 0 desire for the opposite sex.
Yep.
And so I've always put myself as like a Kinsey 5, which is where you know, primarily homosexual. I wouldn't call myself bisexual, probably, but there's some kind of incidental attraction. So that's probably why I had those kind of flings and experiences with girls. But ultimately, you know, I always had to be drunk to do it, and it was okay, but it wasn't kind of what set me on fire.
Did you have to think about guys as you're doing it, or you could be kind of present? I know you said you were drunk, but could you?
Yeah,
Did she turn you on? Like, I guess you just
yeah,
didn't sleep.
yeah. No, yeah, no. I got turned on by girls, and I still can. I don't have to think of guys to get turned on necessarily, but so yeah. So I was very present in the moment for those experiences, and they were fine. Like they were good, but
Yep.
it, you know, there's fine and there's like amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, with the whole, I know you're married now. Was that a
Mm.
big thing that you wanted to be married, or you just did it because now you're allowed to do it, or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've always we've always wanted to be married. So me and so my husband is Raphael. Raphael Farmer. He's also a writer and a content creator on YouTube. And we met in creative writing class actually. So we met at university in 2007. So showing my age there. But we met way back, and we happened to be in the same class. It was one of those things that, you know, I scanned the room looking for hot guys, and he did the same. And so they passed around like the sheet of paper for when you do like the group assignment, and you know, you had to choose a group. And I was, you know, it's an arts degree, so you're trying to like suss out. I was trying to work out what his name was so I could join his group, and I thought, oh well, there's only like a few guys in the room, and I reckon that's him. so so I joined his group, and yeah. Anyway, long story short, we met. We didn't go out straight away. But we got to know each other over a certain period of time, and then eventually started going out, became boyfriends. And we always pretty quickly, we were kind of like, this is it. We're each other's, you know, soulmates, for want of a better word. I know that sounds really cliched and romantic comedy, but pretty much it was like, you know, I love him, he loves me, and we didn't want to be with anyone else. So that was always the go. Marriage always seemed like a long, far away thing that may or may not even be legally possible. But despite that, I still proposed to him anyway. I proposed. We went to France in 2013, and I think same-sex marriage was legal there at that stage. Even if it wasn't, I mean, it doesn't make much of a difference. But I proposed to him there on that trip. So we were engaged for a good nearly 6 years before we actually could get married, and then got married. So it's always been something we wanted. A lot of gay people don't want to get married. Like there's some, even during the same-sex marriage debate, not that it was a great debate, but there were some, you know, very much a minority, but there were some gay people who were actually like, you know, we like being different. We like that we don't conform to normal, you know, male, female, nuclear family, marriage kind of society. Like, you know, we like that we are a bit different. So there have been people who like resist that. But my thinking is always, you know, that's great. And there's straight people who resist marriage as well. And there's straight people who don't like it. But I think the main thing is that we all have the opportunity to do what we want. So that was important for us, is that we had the option of getting married. And it's been really, really nice.
Go. No, you go see mum, please. Go. Have an interview. Bye. Sorry about that.
That's right. The
my
classic
wife's
Zoom.
entertaining him, but I think my wife's getting ready for something as well. So she's probably in the shower, and he's just like, I got the perfect opportunity to go interrupt Dad's podcast.
Just pop in. That'd be great. It's always the way.
Maybe I should start getting like a lock for the door, but then he'll probably just start banging on the door, which will make it even worse.
You want to keep the option in case, you know, you could have one of those viral moments, you know, the kid comes in the background while you're on live TV.
Yeah, I've just done a poo. You're like, are you serious? No, Lon, thanks a lot. Come wipe my butt. Oh my God, dad life. Hashtag dad life. Oh,
Oh my
do you
God.
want kids down the track? Is that something you and Raphael want, or no?
Yeah, I think so. It's something we want. It's not something we want right now. Because I mean, personally, I'm too selfish right now.
Yeah.
I couldn't possibly give any more of myself to anyone other than kind of me and Raf. But it's, trying to, well, this as well, we got to hustle, and, to make a living as an artist or an entrepreneur, there's a lot of work involved, and it's not a steady full-time paycheck. So yeah, so one day we'll have kids, and that'll be really cool. But, I don't know, when we're established,
Yeah.
Uh, I'd rather have a few books out and be able to live a little bit off the royalties and off the everything that comes with those books, and then be able to kind of focus on family stuff. But I think I'd be a pretty selfish dad if I had a kid right now. Not thankfully, it can't just happen accidentally for us. Although I used to love freaking people out, because sometimes people would ask, are you gonna have kids? And I'd be like, oh well, we're trying. And people would like freak out, because they would just go, oh. Yeah, someday that would be nice. Yeah.
Oh, classic. Hey, can you tell me how you came out? Especially, well, reading the book doesn't sound like, well, judging doesn't sound like your parents were that cool with it, but I don't know. I'm just read the book.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about the book is that I've put a heap of fictional stuff in and some real stuff, and it's really great for me because I don't have to tell people necessarily which things are real and which are made up.
Yeah.
But then obviously the downside of that is that people read it and go, wow, his parents are horrible. And I guess the thing I should say as well, I think I forgot to kind of say it at the start, but basically the thrust of the book, I mean, you've touched on it. I've split myself into three characters. So you've got Zeke, Charlie, Hammer. Zeke is the nerd, Charlie's the punk, Hammer's the footy jock. And they're all coming to terms with their sexuality in different ways. It's a braided narrative told from their 3 points of view. And then in between those points of view is a series of anonymous letters from one of the boys.
You don't run that for me.
Yeah, I'm not going to say who it is. But basically, the thrust of the book is one of them's incredibly distressed. He's wanting to take his own life because he can't handle his sexuality. And so the thrust of the book is, who is he? Can he be saved? Will he be saved? So that's the stuff that's drawn from my own experience, but fictionalized. In terms of coming out, if there were a parallel kind of to the family situation, for me, it would be closest to Zeke. Like when I was growing up in high school, Zeke I was very much like him, very shy, repressed, Catholic, good Italian boy. But thankfully my parents well, you haven't read the whole book yet, so I'm not going to spoil what happens at the end. But my parents were fine. So when I came out, even though a lot of the culture I grew up in and the general vibe was that, you don't want to be gay, thankfully, once I came out, my parents were fine. Like they were fine. Like I think it's something to do with once it's your own kid, you go, okay, well, it's my kid and I love him. And, if someone loves their kid, they tend to do that. I think, well, I don't know, maybe it's complicated and some people can't, but for my mum, I told her and she was fine. She actually later told me that she was relieved because she thought I was sitting her down to tell her, like, I've got a girl pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
So I think she was just like happy that there wasn't that to deal with maybe. And then she basically said to me, like, don't blurt it out like that because when you tell your dad, because like just give him a bit of warning. Because I think with her, I kind of went, I've got something to tell you. She sits down and I'm like, and I'm gay, I've got a boyfriend. Like I just blurted it out kind of thing. And she's like, maybe ease your dad into it. So when I told dad, we were down at the shed, might have been after work. So it was very like, we used to play cards at the sheds. Like he had his industrial sheds in Webberton, which is a part of the industrial area of Drayton. And so we're sitting there after work and we've knocked off and having a drink, playing cards, that kind of thing. And I kind of built it up so much that, like, if he didn't know what I was about to tell him, he would have been an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I was like, got something to tell you. It's really important. It's about me. It's about, building it up. And then, so I finally spilled it. And he stood up, walked around the table, opened his arms, gave me a massive hug. And he's like, "You're my son. I love you." And that was the best, because that was, I kind of figured mum would be okay. But dad, as a guy, your dad, you want your dad's approval, and you want him to think you're a man and good enough. And there was so much riding on telling him that. And I thought it could have gone really badly. I thought he might have reacted really badly. But he didn't. So that was pretty cool.
Did he kind of know, or you hit it really well?
No one saw it coming. I remember, no one. And sometimes I get there and I'm like, I'm surprised no one did, because I was a bookish kid and all that. But I think that's why. I think I came across as like a quiet, nerdy, bookish kid, and not necessarily a gay kid. So I think that's the deal. Everyone was just like, "Oh, I didn't see that coming." But yeah, thankfully they were fine with it. I mean, I guess maybe because I'd had girlfriends as well, and I'd talked about girls, and me and dad would or with your mates or whatever, you check out girls, you point out girls in the street, that kind of thing. So yeah, I must have just gone under the radar. I was invisible. That was the point of little plug. Yeah. But I went under the radar deliberately, and I guess it worked.
That's very interesting. Hey, did you try to commit suicide, or did you want to, knowing all this, having all this turmoil in your head, just to, I'll let you answer that question.
Yeah, I was very depressed and self-loathing from about, so I kind of realized I was attracted to guys from about 14.
Yeah. And
when I look back after the fact, I can see lots of things that actually this existed in me prior to 14. But 14's kind of, post-puberty, you've got the hormones running. That's when I knew I was into guys. But when I look back at things, like, people will talk about a TV show or something like that from, when I was younger, like 9 or 10. And in my head, I'll go, "Oh yeah, that's right. I had a crush on that guy." And I thought, hang on, I was 9 or 10. Like, I didn't even know what a crush was. And I didn't knowingly have that. It's just something that, looking back, I remember, oh yeah, I really liked him. And I'm like, oh, in hindsight, that's what that was. But at the time, I didn't have any words for it. So yeah, 14, I kind of knew. My thing was always like watching footy and stuff. Like, I'd be watching footy and I love footy, and that's what we all do. All the guys in the family would do that together, and, everyone else is just watching it for the footy. And I was kind of like, yeah, the game's good, but, geez, these guys are hot. So that was the moment. But yeah, for a couple of years, it didn't really bother me. I thought it was a phase, and I just thought, okay, that's just a normal part of puberty. Hormones are surging, and maybe that's just, something that's happening to me, and it'll just go away in enough time. And yeah, about 16, I realized it wasn't going away. And that really bugged me, because I was like, I was really ready. I was like, I'm ready for the normal hormones to kick in, and I'm ready to have girlfriends. I'm ready to be normal. And it just wasn't happening for me. So that's when I went to a dark place. Kind of 16 to 19 is the struggly time. So I was, firstly just depressed and self-loathing, and then eventually I was like, I wanted to die. I wanted to leave the planet. I just didn't want to be around anymore. And then probably for that last year of that period, I was kind of actively like thinking about killing myself every day, and wanting to, and writing about it, and planning it, and thinking about it, and occasionally kind of teetering right on the verge of it. But I found that, I talk about it a lot. I'm an ambassador for Lifeline. I talk about how reaching out eventually got me out of there. Like, I reached out for help and I got out of there. But I found that if I actually talk about kind of the night where I was going to do it, that's like my limit. That's the thing I can't really, I can't go into without kind of getting really upset. So I can kind of say that it happened. You know, there was a night where I was like, "This is it. I'm ending it."
Yeah.
But I can't go into detail. There was a documentary the WA Screen Academy postgrad students were making. They made a little doco about me last year, and they brought that strand into it. And I actually found some of the letters that I wrote myself at that time. And they're like, "Oh, can you read it on screen?" And I read it, and I was like, "No, I actually can't. I cannot share that detail of that time with people. I can tell you that it happened, but for me, I'm just like, it just makes me too upset to actually say, you know, the exact thoughts that I was having or the exact things that I wrote down in that letter. It's just that hard limit for me. But it was a hard time.
Yeah. Well, there goes the next question. I was going to ask how you're going to do it, but then you'd be going into what you just said you don't want to talk about. So I won't be.
Oh, no, look, I won't talk about that night, but like often I would have, this is what I plan to do that night, but like often I would, I used to drive home from, I used to work as a night filler at a supermarket. And that's a terrible job if you're suicidal, by the way, because there's not customer service. There's nothing to distract you. You're literally just stacking a shelf for 6 or 7 hours alone and lost in your thoughts, you know, and then you go home, you drive home at night to, you know, everyone asleep, so there's no one to talk to. So it was very isolating. And I would drive home from that each night and just constantly think, you know, I just need to veer off into a tree. Like that's, you know, that was a plan. It's not the thing that happened the particular night that I don't talk about. But that was the overwhelming kind of thought. But thankfully I reached out, and it literally saved my life to reach out. Like, it's not an exaggeration. I wouldn't be here if I hadn't actually eventually told someone that, like, "Hi, I'm struggling and I want to kill myself and I'm not doing well."
Who'd you reach out to?
It was a service in the UK. I was so paranoid that if I reached out to a service in Australia, this is a sign of how paranoid I was. I thought, if I tell someone in Australia, what if they know my family, or what if they can work out who I am? And, like, you know, what if they can trace the call? I mean, it's ridiculously paranoid, but because if I told someone what I was going through in terms of mental health, if I said I'm suicidal, obviously the next question, or one of the following questions, is, well, why? What's going on? And, you know, I would have had to get there and say, well, I so badly don't want to be gay that I'd rather be dead. And because that's what it was. And, you know, so that was paralyzing, in that I didn't want to tell anyone I was suicidal, because with that comes the admission of the thing that I can't handle. You know, I'd have to come out as gay, or I'd have to say that I feel like I might be gay. So doing it to a service in the UK and doing it via email instead of phone or in person was amazing, because it was so anonymous. You know, they never knew my name. And it was an anonymous service, so you don't even know who you're talking to. So it was just amazing, and I felt so good. Just, you know, writing an email going, "Here is what I'm going through," and someone would just respond. And within 24 hours, you'd always have a response to your email. And I did that a few times, and that turned the corner for me. That's what made me realize that, you know, actually I really want to live. I'm just struggling with something, but I do want to be alive. I want to have a good life. Everyone does.
So are they experienced counsellors that you're talking to? I guess they would be.
Yeah. It was a counselling service. It's pretty much what Lifeline does now.
Yeah.
And there's other services like it as well. They will do that now, but at the time, I actually don't think there was anything like that at the time. Lifeline existed as a phone service for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't think there was, like, I think now they have things like live chat and email, and, you know, you can reach out however way feels comfortable.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think as a guy, we're not very good at maybe at face-to-face. Like, I think it's harder to sit physically face on to someone else and have them kind of see you be vulnerable. I find that very hard, because you feel very judged and you don't want to break down in front of someone. So doing it via email, I was like, well, they can't see me, they can't judge me, you know, they don't know what I look like, and I don't have to physically sit there sobbing in front of them. It made it a lot easier to do.
No, you definitely bang on the money there. Like everybody learns in different ways, but obviously everybody feels more comfortable communicating in different ways. Like I find it really easy just to flick someone an email or a text the same as you. Obviously, probably because we're both writers, maybe we have something in our heads that's easier than having to do the whole, as you said, the whole talking face to face. And I don't know, it's an interesting one.
But I think it's a real phenomenon. You know, like a lot of people don't want to speak on the phone,
Yeah.
or physically see someone, but they need to reach out. There's still that need for connection.
Did you tell that counselor? Did you open up and say that you're gay? Because you said that you didn't want to be forced to say that, to say you're struggling and admit that you're gay, because then as soon as it comes out of your mouth, it's real. Did you open up? Did you, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I did say that, and that's probably what helped as well. It wasn't just opening up and saying I'm not doing well mentally, but it was opening up and just telling. I'd never told anyone that I felt that stuff about, you know, my sexuality, and probably having it received in a way that was just, you know, it wasn't like you're terrible, and it wasn't like, hey, congratulations, you're one of us. It was just a neutral, non-judgmental, okay, so that's what you're going through, okay, you know, like it was really good. And I think it was probably within a few weeks or a month of that I kind of eventually just had the moment where I went home, because I was living in Perth doing the night filling, doing uni, and I went home for the summer holidays to work with Dad on a job for the city of Drogheda. And so, and I can't remember, I didn't have my bedroom for some reason. I think my brother was back home. So I was sleeping on this little mattress in the living room next to the dining table. You know, like I was just living off this mattress. But I remember laying on that mattress one morning and just having this thought of like, what if being gay was not the worst thing? Like what if actually it meant I could have a boyfriend? And what if I could have sex and it was really fun? Like, you know, I didn't have to feel bad afterwards. And that was like, that was the turning point of kind of coming to terms with who I was. I kind of just sat there grinning like an idiot on this mattress, because I was kind of going, you know, this could feel nice. You know, being with men has always felt completely natural to me. Like as natural as it would feel to you to be attracted to women, you know, it's always felt natural to me that that's how life is. So, you know, I sat there kind of just basking in that and going, this is really nice. You know, if I stop telling myself it's a bad thing, it's a nice thing. And so that was when I kind of slowly kind of came to terms with it in myself. And you've got to do that first before you can, you know, start coming out to other people. You got to work out who you are first yourself.
No, it's totally true. I might take a turn for this. And
Yeah.
I know you're into playing football and stuff like that. And how do the guys go with you being gay and you playing football? So you're physically, you're touching them and tackling them and stuff like that. Then I don't know if you guys have showers after the game and all that type of stuff. How is it for the straight guys knowing that they got a gay guy with them? And you know what I mean?
I do. And I have maybe a disappointing answer to this. But the team I play for is actually gay inclusive. So it's because I couldn't play footy before. It was just so much of a roadblock for me, to probably for exactly what you're describing.
Yeah.
There was way too much fear of like, if I start playing footy with some team in Perth, some random team, and at some point I'm gonna have to decide either I don't tell them who I am and I just play along with it and be straight, which doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good when you try to shut yourself down and put yourself in the closet. And especially so when you're already open. Like I've been open for years, and I tell anyone, I don't care, it's just completely normal. So it would feel really destructive to join a normal, I say normal, you know what I mean? A team full of straight guys. It would feel really bad to join them and pretend to be straight. And then the alternative was, okay, if I join a team, I'm going to have to, at some point, someone's going to be like, do you have a girlfriend? Or we're going to ask something about you. And I either have to actively avoid answering, or I just tell them, yeah, I got a boyfriend or a husband. And you have no idea how that's going to go down, and it may go down really badly. And so I just, out of the fear of that and the fear of, the rejection in the locker room, or people being uncomfortable with it, or people saying something, I just didn't do it. So I stayed away for years. I didn't play. I never played footy, because as much as I wanted to, it was just too much of it was too hard. And then I saw, it would have been like 2018, I saw this thing about the Perth Hornets, and it was an AFL team. But it was like a gay inclusive AFL team. And I was like, whoa, this is what I've wanted, like this would have been great. And it has been great. I joined just under 2 years ago, and it's kind of, it kind of mixes what I've been looking for. It's the camaraderie you get with guys, straight guys live for it. Gay guys live for it too. You want to hang around with other blokes, and you want to, muck around and just be idiots sometimes. And so you get that, and you get to play footy. So it's athletic and it's social, but also, you don't have to hide anything. You don't have to hold back of, the jokes that you would say, or saying that a guy is hot or whatever. You can say it so freely. So it's been really awesome, and it's been huge for my confidence and the confidence of the guys in the team as well. Like it's been really special to kind of reclaim that space and be like, why can't we play sport? We can play sport. It doesn't mean we play well.
Yeah.
but we can play. And that's the thing. So it's given me a lot of confidence, and it's made me think about, before I get too old where, my body starts to not be fit enough for footy, maybe I will give it a crack one day and join a straight team and, see how that goes down. Now that I have some confidence behind me, what's the worst that can actually happen? If someone's shitty, then I say something. It's my responsibility to say something and to actually tackle it. And if the club is like, no, we really, we like them, we don't like you, okay, then I get out, and then I don't do it again because it's a bad experience. But it gives me the feeling of like, well, I want to try, because I actually don't believe, I believe it's worse in our heads.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think most guys are pretty fine with it. I think it's I don't know. I think it's, some young guys, maybe like, I'm really just throwing this out of nowhere, but do you know what I mean? Like there's some kind of age of like 18 to early 20s, maybe, where guys are still trying to work out who they are, maybe. And they tend to be the age maybe where people can be more homophobic. But I think kids, when they're growing up, teenagers growing up in this generation, are pretty much accepting. I think guys who are older or have a family or they're married, they tend to be more secure in themselves, and they don't really mind a gay guy being around. But I think there's a little bracket there where guys can be insecure and maybe a bit threatened by a gay guy around them. I don't know. I mean, you're straight. You'd have a better perspective on that than me. Like, would that, if you were playing footy in a team, would that be,
I think that age
confronting?
bracket, I think the guys that are awkward around the gay guys and stuff like that, they're probably worried that if I'm associating with this gay guy, then all these guys over here or these girls over here or whoever think I'm gay, and I don't want to be labelled as gay when I'm straight, and so I'll pull a piss out of him and call him a fag or whatever, just to prove I'm straight. So don't you dare think that I'm gay, I'm like him. So that's where it gets all that awkward top thing. Yeah, we say. Yeah.
I think it's more of a, like, that behaviour is less, I'm not going to say it's less homophobic, because it is homophobic to do that, but I think it's driven more by that fear of like, well, what if I'm not seen as a man? Like, that would be really terrifying. And I get that. I hate not being seen as a real guy, as a real man. So I understand why someone would be scared of that. But, I think it's very fear driven to do that. I'm just going to, dissociate myself from that person to make sure people know I'm not that. But, it's actually not necessary. People won't think that of you.
Yeah, I think lots probably still would do, but I think as you said, as you get older, you just don't care what people think so much. When you're younger, you
Mm,
really care what everybody else thinks of you. When you get older, you just
yeah,
don't care. Like if you think something about me, really, does your thoughts really affect my life?
yeah,
You can just piss off. I don't really care.
yeah, yeah. But that's what I mean, right? Once you get to a certain age,
Yeah,
maybe it's late 20s, 30s, something like somewhere around there. I think most people are just, yeah, you know what? I don't care. I don't care if people are going to be funny.
yeah.
Right.
We're going to wrap this up because we're only got 40 minutes and we've just hit 40 minutes bang on. Where can
Yeah, no
people...
worries.
Yeah, good. It's quick, eh? Hey, where can people find you on social media if they want to follow you?
Yeah, so I am across all the socials. Well, not all. I'm on Facebook at Holden Sheppard Author. I am on Twitter at VH Shepherd, and I'm on Instagram as at Holden Sheppard, which I think is a big faux pas. I think you're meant to have all the same handles across, all your social medias, and I don't. So there's a different one for each one. But the other one is holdenshepherd.com is the website, and you can find everything from there.
Is Holden your real name?
It is my real name.
Oh, okay. Because you know how you got those, is it pseudonym? Like for that
Yeah.
Aaron Weston book, I changed the last name because I got all the kids' books Aaron White. And then when you got the Pfeiffer novel, which is all, I can say it online.
Aha.
So you're all like trying to get drugs up onto site and all the, you got gays, lesbians, transgender. You got,
Yeah.
it's quite a funny book. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't want parents reading this and then go, this guy that can write this writes kids' books. I don't really know if I want my kids reading a book from him, which they're completely different. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
wondering if maybe you've changed the name. I don't know. You know
I
what I'm
think
saying?
it's a wise move, I think, to do that. Like I'm going to write fantasy books at some point in my career, and I've been thinking about, can I get away with just like, being Holden T Shepherd instead of just Holden Shepherd? but it may require changing a name to something completely different, just to sell books in a different market, because that's exactly what will happen.
Yeah.
The last thing you want is for your audience, who is used to like gritty, realist coming of age novels, to be expecting that and pick that up and then go, what the hell is this fantasy adventure rubbish?
Yeah.
You could really alienate your fans. So it can be a good consideration. But at this stage, I'm happy with Holden.
What's your second book about? Actually, what I might do, because
Yeah.
I might just give the outro now for the people on Spotify, and then if people want to keep watching the next couple of minutes, they can just keep watching this on YouTube. All right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, did you have fun coming on the show?
It's been awesome. What a great chat. And we got deep into stuff, and you're really unprecious with the questions. I love that. Thank you.
Sweet, you're welcome. Oh, well, that's a wrap. I'd like to thank Holden again for coming on the show, and I'd like to thank you, the listener, for listening. Please tell a friend about the podcast and have a fantastic day. And remember, if you want to hear the next couple of minutes, you hop onto the YouTube and listen to it then. All right, have a great day. Bye. All right, cool. So, yeah, I'll chuck that on Spotify. We can keep talking for a couple more minutes. Oh,
Yeah, for sure.
what were we just talking about before I did that?
I think you asked what the second book is about.
Yeah, go on. What's the second book about?
It's well, look, I'm so cagey about it at the moment, just because there's a lot of stuff in there that I want to talk about, but I don't want to do it until the book's out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And even a couple of questions you asked, and I won't tell you which ones, but a couple of questions you've asked, I've kind of thrown you curveballs. I haven't thrown you curveballs, but I've just kind of kept it briefer than I could, because there is more to say on a couple of those points, but they're the themes that the second book deals with. So I will, I'll deal with them more in that book when it comes out. Essentially, it's a coming of age novel again, but I don't think it's going to be marketed as young adult, whereas Invisible Boys was. But most of the people who read this have been adults.
Yep.
So that's been a surprise for me. It has a teenage readership, like lots of teenagers read it in school libraries and they buy it and have come to my events and I get messages from them. But the bulk of, I get emails or messages since the book came out, and it's over a year ago. It's almost every day or every day. I hear from someone who's read the book, and it's almost universally adults.
Yeah.
So it's made me realize that's my market. Kind of what you were just saying, when you write a certain book and it's full of these themes that are full on, it's actually probably not for teenagers specifically. So this second book isn't. It's for adults. It's contemporary fiction, coming of age kind of story. Pretty gritty, dealing with identity and friendship and working out who you are. So some similarities with Invisible Boys, but it's quite a different story. And I've just noticed I'm doing the editing at the moment, just tweaking a few things that my agent sent it back to me a few days ago and said, love it, but here's, just change these last few things, tweak these few things. And so I've been tweaking it, and I've realized like it has a cracking pace. Like it goes so fast. I'm not the kind of person who can set a book over like a period of years or months. My books happen in days and maybe weeks, but they happen fast. So this one's a real thrill ride, I hope.
Sounds good. Do you know when it's going to come out?
I would say 2022. I don't think it's
ages away.
Because I'm still working on it now, and Christmas is like not really a time that you would pitch to publishers. So I'll probably tidy up these few tweaks now, and then I would say my agent will probably pitch early next year, which means it's at least 12 months before it comes out after it's pitched. So it's a very slow industry, as you know. Yeah. So 2022 is meant to be looking out for that. But I'm keeping busy in the meantime. The TV series of Invisible Boys is something that I'll be working on. So that'll take up a lot of my time.
That's what I was going to ask you, because I didn't actually know if that was a thing or not. So yeah, so what's the go with that?
Yeah, so the film and TV rights have been optioned by Nick Verso, who is a director, and Tanya Chambers, who's a producer. And they're just the best. They get what this book is. They have a really clear vision for how to translate it to the screen, and it's going to be amazing. And I say this because you see a lot of things adapted from book to TV or book to film, and a lot of the time the author's kind of like, this is nothing like what I wanted. I've signed away the rights, and this story has gone in a completely different direction to what I wanted. Whereas Nick and Tanya's vision is really and passionately in line with what my vision is. Yeah. So they still want to keep all these kind of parts of it really authentic. So we're working on that, adapting that TV series. It'll be TV as opposed to film. And because people stream these days, people don't go to the cinema as much, unless it's a Marvel blockbuster. Sadly, I don't think people go to see Aussie films as much. So, but TV shows, they stream them. So that's the plan. So we'll be working on that next year, and same deal with the book, timelines, who knows, but we're working on it as quickly as we can.
No, sweet. I was thinking at the same time, because I got that free Zoom, which only goes for 40 minutes. And I thought by saying the outro for Spotify, I don't know, for some silly reason in my head, I thought that would stop that 40 minutes. But because of Zoom, we're still going. So I don't really want this to stuff up. I might just end it there, just in case
cool, man.
I can't use it or something. All right, cool. Any last words?
Last words. That's dramatic. I didn't know that's where your interviews ended up. Oh my god. Just a huge thanks for having me. I've really enjoyed the chat. It's been really fun. Just really chill as well. I think it's nice to have all kinds of interviews, and sometimes they're very serious or they're very literary. And it's really nice to have just a real chill conversation around the themes and what the book's all about. So thank you heaps for having me, man. It's been a real privilege.
That's sweet. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, might edit out that other. I don't know what I'll do with that. Stuff around with that editing. I'll do the outro again. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Did you have fun?
I had an awesome time. Thank you so much, man.
All right. Serious face. All right. Well, that's a wrap. I'd like to thank Holden again for coming on the show. And I'd like to thank you, the listener, for listening. Please tell a friend about the podcast and have a fantastic day. All right. Bye. All right. I'm going to hang up on you now.
No worries, bro.